are you?
Individually or collectively?
Both. Who are you individually and together?
We'll go
Go ahead.
first. Go
You can go.
first.
Okay.
And then you tell me, and go.
I am a Christian first. Christian first. I am a mother. Of course, I am a wife. And I am just simply someone that's growing in the Lord every day. That would be who I am.
I'm a new Christian. I'm new as far as studying the word and in that form and really being dedicated to it every day. I'm a provider, um, and I'm someone who loves to help people if when I ask to help with something, and pretty much that's who I am.
And who are we? We are a unique couple that we both truly believe that God had a story for our individual lives, and we merged our lives together with God's grace. That's who we are.
And it was the timing and all of that when we talk on what we were looking for, and we started. We just let God work, work His magic. It just the more we talked about it, how it happened, it just came together when He saw fit. And that's really what we base our lives on. What does He say? What does He want us to do? When does He want us to do it? That's who we are.
Oh, that is so good. God was writing your individual stories, and you said that He merged them. And this is about what He wants. I love, love, love that. So tell us, how did you meet? Give us the his and her version.
Oh, okay. We actually met over my family member's home. Prior to COVID, we were a family that got together for pretty much all the holidays. Anytime we had an opportunity to get together, that's what we did. And that particular year, my cousin was getting married. And for this holiday, her husband, now also my cousin, invited the men that he wanted, his best friends, his best men, because it was a destination wedding, to come over for that particular holiday. And on that particular day, James was one of my now cousin's best men and best friends. And so that is how we initially met. That was initially how we met.
So, I really, I guess that day when I went over there, because I was kind of thrown back. I was like, wow, okay, you're getting married. And he wanted me to be the best man. I was excited. And I was like, I was so wrapped up into him. We went outside and we was talking amongst, guys do. We go out there talking and, just doing our thing. And I really, at the time, I really wasn't focused on who was there. I was about, this is my man, he gonna marry, this and that. And I'm trying to remember, you know, Giovanna was, what she had on and all that. And I couldn't remember, I called my boy, asking him. He like, I don't know, I don't remember. But we was really just, back there on the patio, But that's our first, when I guess she saw me was more than saw me, because I don't remember until she reached out to me, and that's how it really began. Because we had a second thing, right?
Wait a minute, you said she reached out to me. What? Talk to us about that.
We started communicating through Facebook, through the inbox, and because I was like, okay. So basically, when we first time we met, it's more like to me a blind date. I couldn't remember, and I was nervous and this and that, and I told her we're gonna meet at Black Rock restaurant, 1:00. I said 1:00. I'm a time person. Be on time. You say you coming, I'm watching Tigers game. 1:00 here, no Giovanna. 1:15, no Giovanna. 1:30, no vagina. 1:45. What's going on here? I done got stood up. So eventually she reached out to me through text and she had an issue. And I'm gonna let her explain that to you. Cause I'm like, at first I ain't believe it. I'm like, no, this is bull. But she was late. I didn't think she was coming. I thought I got stood up. Eventually she got there, but it was an hour and a half later. I'm the most impatient person. I know God said, boy, sit your butt down. You've been waiting me to send you somebody. Nah, just chill out and be patient. And this something I've been having an issue with is patience. And I always asking me, Lord, give me patience to wait and listen to what you're saying. And that's what really, because I was ready to leave. And I didn't. Some say, just wait a little longer. And that's what I did. And I got blessed. And I'll let you go ahead with the rest of it.
Well, I'm a rewind. The reason that I initially reached out was, when you first get on Facebook and you see, people where they went to school, where they were raised, things like that. We have a 14-year age difference. He's 14 years older than myself. But when you look at the education, we attended the same high school. And so that is what initially piqued the interest. Like, I try to reach out people I kind of see. So I'm like, wow, you went to the school I went to, and we kind of, it started from there.
And that's the same elementary school.
And then found out we went to the same elementary school. Now we're 14 years apart, and then found out we grew up right around the corner from each other as little children. And he's the same age as my older brother and sister. So, but we grew up literally right around the block from each other. So that's what caused me to reach out initially. But fast forwarding to the the first date. So we went on a Sunday, as he said, and I told him 1 o'clock because I was going to go to church, get home, change, and then I'll meet you for lunch. Well, as I'm en route to meet him, I get pulled over by the police. Now, I am not a person, I do not get pulled over. Typically, I do not get tickets. This is just not what I do. And so, long story short, it was a new police officer, and the car I had at the time, it had tint on it, and that was her reason for pulling me over. So she say, was the tint on my car. So she goes back, she runs my license plate, and she comes back and she says, you have a warrant for your arrest. And I'm like, a what? A what and a what? My father is a retired police officer, God rest his soul. And I'm like, no, I don't. And she's like, yes, you do, blah, blah, blah. Let me call, check, blah, blah, blah. So now she's like, I'm not going to put you in handcuffs, but I need you to get out of the car. So I'm like, okay. So she takes me out the car. I'm in the back seat of the car. She's called for backup. So now we're on the side of the freeway. I have this date, first date, waiting on me, can't call him. And I'm on the side of the road. Like, okay, look, but I'm not worried because I know my business is in order. I know that things are in order. So I'm just sitting there like, God gonna work it out. God is gonna work it all out. He's gonna work it out. So she comes back and I'm like, well, Lord, maybe you're not gonna work it out. Because she comes back and she's like, I called and they said it's a warrant and they want you. So I got to take you in. And I'm like, Jesus. So she's like, she was nice. She said, you may want to call someone that can come and pick up your car, because if they don't come and get it, it's going to be towed. So I called my godmother and I'm on the phone with them. I'm telling them and they're like, wait, what's going on? We're coming. Tow truck pulls up. She's like, if they don't get here and they start going through your stuff, it's nothing you can do, blah, 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 blah. Now 2 more police cars came and I'm just sitting in the back of this police car. And they're outside and they're talking, they're going back and forth. And I'm just praying. I'm just like, Lord, fix it. Fix it, fix it, fix it. And so right when they had got there, they had opened up the trunk. They were getting ready to go through, write all the things down, and they got a call. And I heard her say through the dispatch, we have the wrong person. They don't want her. It's not her. And all I could say was, do it, God. I already knew. Do it. Do what you do. And so long story short, that was the reason I was an hour and a half late. I was on the side of the road dealing with that. And he was sitting right there. He was waiting. I explained it to him. He didn't even believe me really at first until I told him the whole story. And then he was like, okay. And that was where our love story began.
Okay, so it sounds like because Brother Russell was praying for patience, you got arrested because the Lord.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The Lord needed to take you through a lesson, Brother Russell. He said, you better wait on me.
And then I had to wait for him.
Yep.
Like, I gotta go to the bathroom.
What'd you say, Brother Russell? Say it again.
I said, then when she got there, I had to wait longer because she had to go to the bathroom. And I was looking, I said, okay, I can wait so long.
Well, if I had been arrested, I'd probably need to use the restroom too.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how our story started. It went from there.
Wow. Okay, this is the first time that we have had a couple where someone got arrested. So this is the first time on the Jesus Sprinkle where someone has been arrested on the first date, particularly. This is a special, y'all mark the occasion. I want everyone to just in the reactions, put some hearts up. The Lord took y'all through some things to bring us this love story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
So tell us then, what happened next? How did that date go? First of all, how'd that date go?
Once I got my blood pressure together, we were good. I went through some things with it, because it was just some stuff that wasn't right. When you just know like, okay. But once we got past that, everything went great. And before we left there, we had the next date already planned for the following week.
Yep. It went great. Yeah. I'm glad I had the patience God gave me to wait and, just chill, Sometimes you gotta wait. Yeah.
Word right there. Sometimes you gotta wait. That is beautiful. Okay, so tell us then, how did you know that your spouse was the one to marry, to spend the rest of your life with?
It's the things that I needed, he knew I needed to have a successful marriage, that I was missing, because I was married before. And I said, you got to do things differently. If you want different results, you got to do things different. And I didn't have God nowhere in my first marriage. So I said, okay, this is what I got to do here. And I got to have him front first. Then listen to him. He going to tell me what to do. And he said, she's the one. And that's how I knew. It wasn't no questions to me, he said it, and that's what, I listened to him. And the smile really is really in her heart, caring heart, and her being a Christian is really, really what sealed the deal for me.
Now you said God told you she was the one. Tell us how he told you that.
No, she asked you a question.
Say that again.
You said God told me, and that was it. Tell us how he told you.
He told me, through prayer, I would stand at work. A lot of times I just be praying to him. And then I'm like, God, you're the one, really, I'm truly talking to him. Say, this is it. Make your move. Like, don't let past things, mistakes. Because a lot of time I would beat myself up on a lot of things I did in the past. And he said, don't let that bother you. As long as you still do what I tell you to do and listen to me, you won't make those mistakes again. And that's how I knew.
That's so good. That is so good. So he was talking to God about her at work. He was talking to her when he was in his prayer closet at the house. He was talking about her all through the day. God, I love that.
Hey, I'm at work. I stand post at work and I'm greeting people as they come drive through. A lot of times, I could be, I'm doing my job and I'm still thinking about what's going on in my life, what I'm doing. I got to smile and they're like, the heck he's smiling about? Like, what's wrong with your buddy out there? Why he smiling? Hey, that's why.
He was smiling about that Giovanna.
Yeah.
Girl. All right, sis, tell us, how did you know that he was the one?
I as well have been married before. I actually have been married twice, and for so long, I had shame about that. Because sometimes as being a Christian, people relate Christian as perfect, and that is not the case. And being that I have been raised in the church all of my life, um, I grew up, where you marry someone in the church and you date, someone that's only in the church, and if you don't do it this way and that way and all those traditional things, and it's not right, and so I did that, I did that, and so in doing that, I had to grow and I had to learn that just because they go to church, you can finish that sentence however you choose. And I had to learn that through my experiences of doing that. And for so long, I felt shame because I did it once, it didn't work. I did it twice, it didn't work. So for so long, I said, okay, Lord, it's something that I'm not doing right. It's something, not that me just as the person with the marriage is not working, but just something that I needed to do differently or try differently. And so at the time I had my children. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to get so in tune with you, Lord, that's all I'm going to focus on. And so I got so deep into my children, doing ministry. I got real busy with that. And then I have a health condition, so I was dealing with that. So I said, that's what I'm going to consume my time in my life with, those things, focusing on being a better me, growing me up a little bit more. And so I wasn't looking, I wasn't trying to find a man, I wasn't trying to find a date, I wasn't trying to do any of that. I was focusing on being a better me, at the time being a better mother. And so it just literally, in our situation, it was just one of those things. He was over where he was, working on himself, praying to God. I was over at my house doing me, focusing on me, my kids, focusing on God. And like I said, God brought our unique stories and merged them together. And that's us. And I knew, because my prayers began to change. And they weren't prayers about a man. They were just prayers asking God to order my steps according to his will and his way, and not my own. Making sure I thought things through a lot more before I made any moves, not just in relationships, in my life every day. I make sure I ask God first, and I wait and I wait and I wait for him to respond. And in the way that he was responding and showing things and revealing things through our conversations, through our times together, as he said, he's a new Christian. He was not in the church when I met him, but because I was, from the very beginning of our friendship, I'll even say before dating, we were friends first. We began to pray together from the very beginning. Before we knew it would be dating, before we knew it would be a marriage, we just began to pray together because that's what I did all the time. And I believe truly that it was because those things is what allowed us to get to the places even where we are today, even so much so, he's not only my husband, he's my brother in Christ, because he's since been baptized. And that's the blessing in it all for me.
Ooh, oh my goodness, Sister Giovanna, you have blessed us. I love that you told us my prayers begin to change. And it wasn't, Lord, please give me a husband. If it was, Lord, order my steps, order my steps. I love that you said, I went to God and asked God, then I waited, and I waited for him to respond. I wasn't making moves quick. That is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. So tell us the timeline from the time that you met to the time that you married. Tell us about that timeline.
So we met in June. We were engaged the year after in December. And then 67 days later, we were married.
So what is that, like under 2 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And the way that happened was, again, it was with that prayer and that ordering thing. And as you know, God has allowed me to speak, on other prayer lines and other platforms. And God is something about when you're growing and you're intentional with your growth, where when it's real, God will prick you. God will prick your heart. God will do something to your spirit. And I remember distinctively doing a lesson, and the title of the lesson was, "Do you fully trust God?" That was the title of the lesson that I did that day. And I did the lesson and I did the lesson, and we were going to Chicago for my birthday. And God dealt with me. He dealt with me then. And I said, you know what? Before we come home, I'm going to have a serious conversation with him before we leave. And so it worked out because I was nervous. I was scared. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna say, but Lord, we're not doing things in order. And so we went to eat at Cheesecake Factory right before we were coming home. And I said, listen, I said, I want to have a conversation with you. I said, it's nothing bad. It's nothing wrong, but I just need to talk to you. He said, okay. And I asked him, I said, do you fully trust God? And he said, yeah, I would say I do. I think I do. And I said, okay. And I said, we're doing this and that. We're doing everything under the sun. I said, but we are not doing it in the right order. And I said, this is not an ultimatum. This is not any of that. I said, but before we can go any further with making any type of life plans, altering changes, anything like that, I need to do it in order. You have adult children, I have young children, and I told God I will want to do things in order. And he said, okay. And we ended the conversation. We continued to eat. We drove home. No questions asked. We talked about whatever else. The next day, he went to work. He came home. We talked briefly. Nothing else was said. 2 days later, he said, go to the store, do what you need to do. Look, see what you like. I told him. The next day, he said, I'm going to give you my credit card. Go get it. And I said, well, I can't do that. Like, I can't just go to the store with the credit card and say, hey, do what you do. And he said, okay, give me the information. No worries, no problem. And 2 days later, he got down on his knee and he proposed. And that's that. Yeah.
Okay, brother Russell. What's going on in your head? You had that conversation in Cheesecake Factory. You ate some cheesecake. You tell us what happened, because wow. Ooh.
Well, when we first started, then she let me know I'm marriage material. He said, and I said, okay, but in my mind, I'm saying I'm gonna be the judge of that. But I knew I'm not no guy that's gonna be. This is my girlfriend. I'm more. I'm gonna be like, this is my wife. I'm that type of guy. I'm not gonna be ever girlfriend. Ever no, that ain't happen. And I knew. I didn't want at first though I did want to wait because I want summer, the nice weather and all. But I'm like, that's not really important. That's not the main. That's not really what's important. And I'm glad I didn't really focus too much on that, because with COVID, we wouldn't even been able to get married. So things worked out perfectly the way God wanted to work out, And so I was like, let's do this, because I didn't want her to. I'm not trying to let her get away, and because let that happen, So I knew, let's make this happen. Let's do it, And we had and then another thing, I was like, can we do all this in such a short time? Because I know seeing women stress out when trying to put a marriage together. It's a lot to do, in a short time, and I'm not the person who's like, I'm doing everything. I'm not, you're not doing no help. Help me. We went through that little stage. It was funny. And, we had to go around, visit the little places to try to have the wedding. That it was really nice, doing that together in that short period. You look back on it and you're like, now you can do a lot together when you work as a team. Ain't nothing we can't accomplish. I
Mm.
just knew, she was the one, and like I said, there wasn't no doubt in my mind, about uh getting married. So that was it. Just when was the date gonna be? We set that date, and then that was it. This is when it's gonna happen. It was, and it turned out to be great.
Awesome, awesome. So how long have you all been married? You all sound like newlyweds.
Hasn't even been 2 years.
Just
December will
about,
be 2 years, just over a year.
about 15 months.
Mhm.
Yeah.
December 14th, 2019.
It seemed a little longer though,
Right.
doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
But, I mean,
It's been great.
it's been great.
I mean, you have your challenges, you go through your ups and downs. But I can say because we both have been like previously married, we've been through things, individually, it helps to weed out a lot of things now, and then now that we're older, certain things, and then like with me, like I said, having a health situation, for me, a lot of things that some people make big deals about, for me, when you've experienced, that you don't know what your tomorrow is going to look like, a lot of the things that people worry about and focus on, I don't. And that helps with a lot of things when you just literally pick your battles, pick what's worth arguing about, pick what's worth nitpicking about, that just makes things a lot smoother. And we always, and my brother, and I'm so grateful, I see that they're watching, was able to do our premarital counseling as well as marry us. So my older brother, Carl Williams, was able to marry us, and that was a blessing. And one thing that he shared with us that we live by every day with our decision making is, as long as we're following God's order, everything, it works out. We keep that order as our foundation. And that is like one of the blessed pieces of advice that he gave to us, that we stand by it.
Right.
We stand by
Right.
that every day.
God,
Each other
Jesus, her, then me, then kids,
and everybody
and
else.
everybody else.
That's good. It looks like we have Carl on. Shout outs for the Carl. Thank you so much for helping this love story come about. So tell us a little bit about how have the people of God, the kingdom of God. I know Carl is one of the people, but how has the kingdom of God blessed your marriage?
Oh, in so many ways. When we were doing our marriage premarital counseling, my brother and sister-in-law told us about marriage enrichment with Hope Church of Christ. And so we look at Sister Alicia. So we started watching that. We meet with my brother, even though they're in a different state. We did one-on-ones weekly with them. We do books together, we do devotionals together with them. That really has helped us a lot. Not too long after we got married, of course, like when the pandemic and things started happening, so we weren't able to do that much as far as contact, doing things physically with other members, but we have definitely been able to, with Zoom and virtual, we have just connected with so many different people and platforms for spiritual growth. It's almost like every day we're watching something, to the point now, like even my husband, when he's at work on his break, like he it was funny because he told me, he said, listen, I literally rearranged my lunch break so that I'm able to get on Word Up every afternoon. And when he has to miss it for work, he is literally upset, so we have connected ourselves that even if we're not in the house together, we're still keeping ourselves connected. And then when we get home, we wake up in the morning before he goes to work, we pray together. I wake up, we pray together before he leaves for work every morning.
Gotta do it.
We
Gotta do it.
have to do it.
You never know when coming, if I'm gonna make it back.
Right.
Never
So we have made it a vow to one another that we keep that spiritual connection the head of our marriage. And I'll be honest to say, it has allowed us to weather some things that would have been major storms in some marriages, that has allowed us to just smooth sail right on by, because we keep that spiritual connection in that order. And that's a blessing.
Oh, that's so good, y'all. Ooh, this is so juicy. Ooh, okay. So I have to give a shout out to the Hope Church of Christ,
Yeah.
just because of the way that, Brother Daniels and his wife poured into us. But there have been so many couples from Hope that have come to pour into us on the Jesus Sprinkle. Sister Alicia Smith has come, just other couples have come. Trinique and Nick are coming, and just thank you all so much for being there for each other as couples, and just pouring into each other, but also pouring into us as singles. We cannot thank you enough for that. All right, so how are you all as a couple blessing the kingdom back?
Well, I will say my husband is more of he's reserved, like real quiet, kind of, but I am grateful, and I had to thank him because I asked him once I was given the invitation for us to do it, before accepting. We talked about it, we prayed about it, because I just wanted to make sure, number one, that he was comfortable. He's real quiet, real mellow, kind of behind the scenes, a man of few words, but I wanted to make sure that I just didn't rush and say, yeah, sure, because I don't mind ever speaking. I don't mind that. But I wanted to make sure that it was something he was comfortable with doing. I wanted to make sure he felt comfortable with sharing our story, his story, And so this is actually on a formal platform, I would say, our first time collectively doing something, but we have the conversations all the time, and we say, hey, our children are watching, other people are watching. We're on, social media, they are watching, so we know that people are watching. And the thing that I love about my husband is we are okay with being transparent with our lives. We're not saying, hey, we're this perfect couple, we never, fall out, yes, I fuss if his socks are on the floor, we go through things. We're a couple that we are transparent to where people see marriage. No, it's not perfect. I mean, we've done it before, but we still know with God we are better, and we are growing every day.
Every day.
And that's our main thing, is that we grow and learn something every day, no matter how big or small. We have a takeaway from every day, whether it's his job, he's telling me something that happened at work, whether it's me at home being a virtual teacher with our son, it's always something that we're able to teach each other. And then we're also always pouring out every day. We're pouring out every day.
And that was one of, I guess, our issues. I'm not the big communicator, so I had to really read my word on that and open up, learn how to open up, express what's going on up here, let it come out here. A lot of times I just, I keep it, you didn't tell me, I thought, I just, okay, my fault. And we be thinking the same thing, but I didn't just say it, and I had to get out of that, go ahead and express myself. And that's really been a blessing. And that's what God knew. He knew I needed that type of person, to grow.
Beautiful. So welcome to the Jesus Sprinkle, brother and sister Russell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for pouring out for us, because this is kingdom business. You all being here and sharing your story is blessing us. It's going to bless the hearers that will hear your story and say, you know what? The way that they were praying, the way that they were talking to God, the open communication they had with one another, we need to have that too. Okay, so you all give us some advice. Do you have any advice for singles that desire marriage?
Singles that desire marriage.
Mine will be, I'll give one at least. Be intentional with your prayer life. Be intentional with focusing on the areas that you need to grow in. Be intentional with being honest with God. Being honest with God, whether you've been in a failed marriage, failed relationship, be honest with him. Be honest with yourself. Work through whatever those things are that you need to deal with first. Be healed
Right.
from
right.
whatever is in your past.
Stop beating yourself up of your past
know,
mistakes.
Be
Because you
healed.
won't be able to move on and move forward. You don't. And you would try to bring that into another relationship. So that's very important.
That would be my main. That would be my thing.
This is so good. Let me read the list again. Be intentional about your prayer life. Be honest with God. Be honest with yourself. Work through the things that you notice in yourself. Be healed. Stop beating yourself up.
Yep.
Get your healing. This is so good and so. Thank you all so much for this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other final words that you have for us?
I want to just say, be patient, talk to God, listen to him, and just be ready when he tell you to move, then you make your move. But stay in every day, 3 times a day. I mean, I constantly was praying and talking to God, and not looking. You're not gonna find what you're looking for in the club, bars, and none of that type of stuff. The places you're not. So if you're doing that, you need to stop that right now. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
I would just say, I'm grateful. We're humbled. Thank you for the opportunity that you guys have given us to just share a little bit, into our world, our day to day. It's definitely a process. Everything is a process. Every day is a process, but we're just grateful and honored that God, has us in this season that we're in, right now, and just grateful to be, in that season. Yeah.
She was giving buy this, she was giving it to us.
No, I bought it.
She bought this, and we pull out of this every weekend. We do something out of it. And this is I really like this. It gives
Okay.
us
Tell us what that is.
It's 52 fun things to do a date night. So every weekend we pull a thing. We're gonna do something out of here, and that's what we do. This is what we're doing today. To share a progressive dinner, cocktails in one spot, apps in the next, main course in another, and dessert at home.
Oh, I love that. So it sounds like you're giving us the advice to make sure you keep a date night.
You got to
At least one.
Especially during pandemic, and you got to keep it, keep it going. Keep it fun.
All right. Well, you all have heard it from the Russells. They say keep it fun.
Right.
All
Keep
right.
it fun.
Thank you all so much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.